Hi there, and welcome to another video. The beginner-friendly Arch Linux-based distro, Manjaro, has released a first preview of the stable branch update, Qo'noS. So I thought today I'll take an opportunity to look at the KDE Plasma version and also demo some of the special features the development team has included out of the box. Basically, Manjaro is built on top of Arch, where daily package updates are pulled into the unstable branch and then tested thoroughly by the Manjaro team before being released to the stable branch. Security updates are fast-tracked to stable as quickly as possible. That's the claim they make, and we'll keep this in mind as we explore this pre-release of Manjaro 21.2, which will upgrade from Pahvo since I had some install issues with the Qo'noS ISO. Okay. Let's boot up the Pahvo ISO with the open source drivers. So we're running a QEMU KVM. And let's stand by for the live install environment. Pahvo 21.1.6. Let's fix the display resolution. Let's set it to 1920 by 1080. Hit apply. Looks good. Looks better, at least, to me. Yeah, 21.1.6. So let's go ahead and launch Calamares, which is the default installer for Manjaro. American English is good. America Los Angeles time zone is good for me. English US default keyboard is good. Today we'll keep a simple partitioning scheme. We'll just have EFI 300 megabytes boot partition, and the rest is Btrfs root. So 2 partitions. Put in Steven as my username and Praxis as the host name, because why not? Enter my password twice, and I'll use the same password for the administrator account and click Next. Let's review what it's about to do. So it creates a new GPT partition table, and those 2 partitions we just looked at and configured. So, creating the partitions, unpacking image 1 of 2, and then it unpacks image 2 of 2. Then it configures the locales and creates the init RAM-fs, configures the hardware, installs the bootloader, does some post-install configurations, and it's done. So let's go ahead and restart. The magic of editing. So hopefully we've got a functional installed Pahvo Manjaro system KDE Plasma version. There it is, SDDM, as expected. The display manager. So logging in should result in our installed system, also 21.1.6, as expected. Still Pahvo, we're going to fix that shortly. Let's first, though, fix the display resolution to 1920 by 1080 and hit apply. There we go. So, first things first, before we do anything else, is we need to configure timeshift, because there are timeshift hooks on this system by default in Manjaro. It's recognizing Btrfs on the root file system VDA2. And look at the snapshot levels. The defaults look good to me. 5 dailies to keep. Stop cron emails. We'll exclude the home subvolume. Enable Btrfs queue groups. That's good, as the default. So timeshift is ready to go. So now, and only now, after we've configured timeshift, I recommend you launch add remove software, or PAMAC GUI. Go to preferences. Let's authenticate. And let's fix the mirrors from worldwide to more local mirrors. In my case, it's United States, since that's where I live. Refresh the mirrors. Okay, that's done. And we go back to the hamburger menu and we refresh the databases. That should prompt for installation of all the updates, and there are 1.6 gigabytes of them. So let's make that happen by clicking apply. Let's look at the console here of PAMAC. So it's through the hooks, it's already creating new backups of Btrfs, fake backups, such as snapshots, not real backups. Time shift. So then it downloads the packages, and then it checks their integrity, and then it upgrades the individual packages to the next stable branch, which hopefully will be Qo'noS. So that's done through the magic of editing. Let's restart as it suggests, and hopefully our next boot will be Manjaro 21.2 KDE Plasma Edition, or Qo'noS. There's SDDM, rather. That looks hopeful. Yep, sure enough, Manjaro hello, Qo'noS 21.2. Looks like our upgrade was successful, fairly painless. So far, the experience has been very polished for a pre-release. Let's launch Timeshift again and take a look and see what PAMAC has done for our snapshots. So these are both on demand. So did the Timeshift auto snap created before upgrade. So let's create our first Qo'noS snapshot, which happens instantly. There it is, also on demand. That's our third snapshot for the system. So we'll handle the kernel and additional language packages later in this video. But first, let's go to the console. Let's make the window a little bit bigger. Make the font a little bit larger for readability. So PAMAC info neofetch gives you a nice information about neofetch, for example, as a package. It's a system information tool written in Bash. It's from the community repository and has some optional dependencies that we'll ignore for now. It's been built on October 2020, I think. It's a bit older. It's signed, so that's good. So I think it's safe to install. Let's do it with PAMAC install neofetch. Let's ignore the optional dependencies. Let's authenticate as requested. It's synchronizing the package database. Let's hit Y to install. And it's done. It's installed. You can also optionally use sudo pacman-s neofetch as you would in a vanilla Arch install. That's still available to you if you prefer pacman instead of PAMAC. So neofetch shows we're logged into Praxis. We're running an older kernel, 5.13.19. Running latest Plasma, 5.23.3. Running Manjaro's Breath 2 2021 theme. And our memory consumption is only 869 megabytes, considering this is a full desktop. That's very reasonable and certainly lighter than GNOME. So you have access to AUR already, the Arch user repository. So if you do PAMAC info-a yay, Yay, you see, is available both with the community repository, the Arch, not the Arch, the Manjaro community, and also the AUR repository, or the Arch user repository. So you can install AUR packages now. So supposing you, by some bad luck, you installed a bad AUR package that will destroy your system, right? We want to destroy Praxis. Praxis must be destroyed. So let's destroy our installation as a demonstration of recovery tools. So sudo rm-fr/etc will destroy your system. Don't do this unless you want to destroy. I repeat, destroy your system. So etc is gone. So that, again, you can't even reboot. You can't do anything at this stage. Failed to talk to init daemon. So I'm going to have to power cycle this machine because I can't even shut it down manually. So I have to pull the power and see what happens if I boot it back up again. Welcome to your new installation of Manjaro Linux. Please configure your system. Yeah, it detected that Etsy is gone. So it'll try to rebuild Etsy, I suppose, asks these questions. But let's not do that. That sounds tedious and boring. It probably won't even work. It's amazing that Manjaro offers this, though. Kudos to Manjaro. So let's power cycle again, and instead let's hit escape on the boot screen and go to Manjaro Linux snapshots. These are in reverse order, so the most recent is the top one. So select that, and then select the regular kernel, and let's boot to this read-write snapshot that Timeshift created earlier. And there it goes. We've got a functioning system again, but we're back in Pahvo, so we'll have to fix that because we want it to be on Qo'noS, if you recall. So let's authenticate, open up Timeshift. There are Qo'noS snapshots already there. So it's available. It detects that we're running from a snapshot boot. So let's restore our Qo'noS snapshot using just the restore button. So data will be modified on our root partition, our at subvolume. That's what our Qo'noS snapshot is from. And it's almost instantly done. Restore is completed instantly, which is the magic of Btrfs. It's one of the magical things of Btrfs. And usefully, it also created another snapshot, a fourth snapshot, just before restoring the Qo'noS snapshot. I put it in bold to make sure you see it. All right, so it's telling us to reboot. Once it's done, restoring to the Qo'noS snapshot. So hopefully we've got our system back. Along with our /etc directory or Etsy. Yeah, look at that. We're back. SDDM. And we're back on Qo'noS. All right. So we're back to just before we created that snapshot before we installed the bad AUR package. So that's how you can recover. So launching Timeshift again, you can see we've got all 4 snapshots still available as expected, including the before restoring, so you can roll back to the broken system if you want. So yeah, these Timeshift stores read-write, not read-only, but read-write snapshots. That's what makes the grub Btrfs hook work. I'd like to show you a little more detail on that. So let's open up another console session. So yeah, the snapshot was taken before we installed NeoFetch. So NeoFetch is no longer there as expected. Let's take a look first at the file system table with cat etc fstab. And we've got Calamares has configured 4 subvolumes at home, at cache, at log with their respective mount points. And yeah, very handy. Certainly easier than doing this by hand in a vanilla Arch install. So let's take a look at var run timeshift backup timeshift-btrfs snapshots. And we see here all 4 of our existing snapshots. The third one is our Qo'noS snapshot. That is of interest. So we can check their read-only status with sudo btrfs property get -ts, and then we'll select this third snapshot directory and copy paste that and put an at for the at subvolume, which is our root subvolume. And it shows here that read-only is false, which indicates to me that it's read-write. So for doing an off-disk real backup, you want to make sure that it's no longer read-write, but that read-only is true. And then once you've done that, then you can do something like Btrfs send from the source, the local drive that you want to back up, and then pipe it to the remote drive with Btrfs receive, the destination. And of course, you want to do both Btrfs commands with sudo, right? And so the reason that I suggest that is to do a real backup is because if your disk is broken in any way and the snapshots are mangled somehow, the grub Btrfs snapshot system won't necessarily work to have you recover as easily as we just have done because Timeshift is not really a backup program in my view. In my view, Deja Dupe or Bacula or doing these Btrfs commands that I also do on a live demonstration in my couple weeks old Fedora 35 Everything video. You can take a look and watch that if you want to see me perform the aforementioned Btrfs send, Btrfs receive command to do full backup off disk, to the cloud or to network attached storage or what do you have available, such as a USB thumb drive. Anything off disk is better for recovery if you have a broken disk. So anyway, that aside, moving on. Let's see, what's next? Let me close console and let me open system settings. Let me expand this window to the right. My eyes prefer dark theme. Your eyes may be different. So there we go. Bright screens make me blind. Let me also fix the global scaling under display configuration. Let's make it 125%. This change will take effect after a restart, as it says. So let's do that and restart. This is a high performance kernel virtual machine running on Arch. So we can do reboots very quickly, hopefully. So not to test your patience. There's SDDM again. So hopefully the screen elements are a little bit larger for greater legibility. So release info still shows Manjaro 21.1. So they haven't updated the Manjaro Hello program yet. So let's just turn this off and close. That's okay. It's a pre-release, right? So we're just poking around here. We don't have enough time to cover everything, but we can cover enough today, I think. So under Manjaro section, we've got the hardware configuration utility, and it already detected the VirtIO GPU from my KVM machine here. So that's correct. Under kernel, we have 5.15.2 available as the latest stable. So let's go ahead and install the latest kernel. So it's very easy to do with this utility that Manjaro provides out of the box. So it's updating the module dependencies, running the build hooks, doing the usual stuff that you've seen when you install kernels, say, on a vanilla Arch system. This just makes it nice and GUIfied. And it's already done. So it's installed. Kernel 5.13.19 is still running, but let's remove it because that's old and no longer supported. So I'm going to remove it just like that. It's still running, of course, as expected. I also recommend you install an LTS backup kernel. We won't do that here in the interests of time saving, but definitely urge you to install LTS. Let's restart, and hopefully we get to boot into kernel 5.15.2. the KVM come back up again. Crossing fingers. And there's STDM. Let's log in. And there we go. So let's go to System Settings. Let's go to Kernel again. And sure enough, 5.15.2 is running and installed, of course. Good. That's done. That was easy. We also have language packages to install. That's nagging us about on the lower right of the screen earlier. That's quick. So that's taken care of. Let's see. What's next? Usually what I want to do is check regional settings here. Go to date and time and enable set date and time automatically using network time protocol. Make sure our system clocks are always synced with the internet. Looks like that's done. After authentication, let's check. Launching Firefox, closing the privacy tab, and go to time.is. As you can see, our time is exact. I'm not in Woodinville, Washington. Just happens to be a close town. Okay, so here's the Manjaro.org homepage. Linux for everyone. Install anything. It's a professional system. Free is better, I agree. Choice is good. Free operating system for everyone. They got a nice, active, and very friendly forum. I strongly suggest you make use of it. Can answer a lot of questions you may have. It's a very good forum. It's also got a wiki section. How to get started, installation, booting and starting up, software management, hardware considerations, network and internet articles, some system articles, sharing files, for example, troubleshooting section here. Yeah, lots of nice articles. In addition to the Manjaro wiki, you of course have always the Arch wiki, which I strongly suggest you also make use of. It's a fantastic reference for not just Arch Linux, but also Linux in general. It's a treasure trove of information. For example, you also have AUR access, so you can choose your AUR packages that you're interested in here. Check the comments, of course, first, and see if it's safe to install, if you trust the projects here on the AUR, which are not really vetted, really, except by the Arch user base. I want to show, while I'm here on Firefox, I want to show you the Steam Games deck testing page. Valve is going to release the Steam Deck soon. It's based on Arch Linux OS with a KDE Plasma desktop environment. So to test your game, for example, you get your compatible controllers, you set your display resolution accordingly for testing. So what they suggest, what Valve suggests, is you install Manjaro KDE Plasma version, like we just did. So you don't need to get a new PC or anything. Install Steam. Steam is already installed, and you just enable Proton Experimental. I think it's a switch in Steam. I've tested it myself. It runs great. So once you've done that, you've got your testing environment, because it's the same desktop, as I just said, desktop environment that will ship on the Steam Deck, hopefully very soon, early next year maybe. This is a great way, as they say, of testing for system support again. So, very cool that they suggest this as a quick way for developing for Steam Deck. Okay, moving on. Speaking of development, they provide Qt Assistant, Designer, Linguist, Debus Debugger here, and the user feedback console. That's a good start. Steam Runtime, as we've already seen, is pre-installed. Under graphics, we've got the KDE image viewer, a document viewer, Ocular, and Scanlight, which is an image scanning application. Got the Avahi browsers, Firefox, of course, we just used that. Manjaro tray, QBitTorrent, and the Thunderbird mail client. Good standard. Elisa music player, K3B disk burning. The Video for Linux version 2, capture utilities, VLC media player. Under Office, we have Ocular, and also, instead of LibreOffice, as I would have expected, you've got the OnlyOffice desktop editors, which come licensed under the GNU AGPL version 3. So it is open software. But you still have the option using PAMAC or Pacman to install LibreOffice if you prefer LibreOffice over OnlyOffice. But OnlyOffice is very compatible, they say, with Microsoft Office. So there's the option you have. Like I always say, choice is good. Under Settings, we've got Add Remove, Software, App Image Launcher Settings, Manjaro Notifiers, Manjaro Settings Manager, which is a focused collection of utilities that we've already seen most of under the KDE settings menu, including the language packs, the kernel, time and date, automatic synchronization, etc., etc. So, the hardware configuration. You've got all of that separately, not just in the KDE settings. So under System, also, we've got Dolphin, File Manager, HTOP they've included. Info Center. So we're running Manjaro Linux, KDE Plasma version 5.23.3, Frameworks version 5.88.0, Qt version is 5.15.2, is same version, coincidentally, as the kernel version, which is also 5.15.2. Graphics platform is X11 over Wayland, which really doesn't run too well on my KVM. For memory consumption, we've got used physical memory of 34%, total free memory of 65%. That ain't bad at all. Let's see, under utilities, the archiving tool, Kate text editor, Kfind, Manjaro user guide, which we don't have time, unfortunately, today to look at. Screenshot capture utility, Spectacle. Under Lost and Find, we have a icon-free HP UI scan. HP really should fix that. I've seen this over and over again in many different distros. So there it is. There's about this system. And I have to say, during this demonstration, Manjaro Qo'noS and Manjaro KDE Plasma in general has behaved flawlessly. I've run Arch and Manjaro for a long time, and both have been exceptionally stable for me. However, I'm an experienced user with 25 years of Linux under my belt. To me, Qo'noS is on a path for another fantastic Manjaro release later this year, helping make Linux more accessible for a broader audience, from beginners to gamers, and that's always a plus in my book for promoting free software. Give it a shot, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and do hit those like and subscribe buttons as hard as you can to make more videos like this come out. Until next time, Qapla'.